there was a point when people were at each other. Now I will say, when I say at each other, oftentimes that was, I don't remember any time when people personally attacked folks, right? It was about positions. Well, that's not, that doesn't adhere to what we believe as, or I don't think that's going to work, but it wasn't a personal attack. Okay. However, people were at each other in a way that I had never seen before. So this is 64, that meeting in the fall. And at a certain point, when I just couldn't figure out what was going on, it was like chaos. You know, it was, I don't know what's going to happen here. And Foreman started singing, "Will the Circle Be Unbroken?" Right. Now, I didn't think it was going to work. Usually when you started a freedom song, people would start singing and it would be fine. But I didn't think folks would pick it up. I mean, first of all, Foreman didn't sing that swell. But the other part was, you know, I thought we were everybody seemed so mad at each other. And yet people started singing because they started remembering what we meant to each other, you know, the times we'd been through each other, it just brought back certain things that we only had each other, all that stuff, right? And we started singing. Now, that didn't mean it was the end of the arguments and all that stuff, but there was a moment in time where we were reminded about what we meant to each other. And so I think about some of that, you know, I mean, obviously at a certain point, I also felt, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know where we're going. And so I went back to school, you know, I mean, so it's not that it went forever, but we kept going in some other way. So for me, Drum and Spear was an iteration of SNCC, that there were other ways that SNCC lived in my life that worked for me. But what you're talking about, I'm trying to figure out what is it that you figure you can call on?
That really resonates with me. And I was reflecting because last week, Aja Monet, who's a dream defender and a renowned poet and revolutionary, she is releasing an album, and she came to Miami and held an album release party. And it was one of our first times like being back in like a social cultural space together. And it felt like since the pandemic, and it just felt like this like family reunion. Like it was really special. And after being in this space, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like what's been missing over the last 3 years that has made this work so hard and grueling. And you know, because like cultural spaces have been such a big part. I mean, that's like the foundation of who Dream Defenders is. You know, Phil used to host, the Smoke Signal studio with Aja. They would host parties in their backyard. And many of our leaders were part of this artist collective, Fem Power, that held a weekly study circle and also, you know, made art together. We had a group called Poetry for the People, which would come together and make poetry together every week. There was another group in Miami called Black Family, which was a collective of Black artists. And so all of that was so much of what has sustained community in Dream Defenders over the years. And all of those entities, for a variety of different reasons, like don't exist anymore and fell apart during or right before the pandemic. And you really feel the difference. Like, even if we're like just being in space together like it allows you to see people's humanity in a way where you're on Zoom talking about the work, like you just don't see people's humanity in the same way. And even in like the broader movement ecosystem outside of Dream Defenders in Miami, like some of the organizations, like even if we didn't work together, we'd all go to this party, you know, every couple months and, you know, and kick it together, and how much that did for like our resilience, feeling connected as a movement ecosystem. So I think we're in a real place of like, how do we rebuild the cultural spaces in Dream Defenders post-pandemic? I mean, other practices we've done are like circles, restorative justice circles where you just hold space for people to like share their truth and to hear from everybody. Like, how do we use more of these tools, the cultural, the restorative justice circles, to just create space for us to see each other. And I think that that's so important on so many levels, because I think the conditions for organizing are so hard right now. And there's a way in which we can like internalize our failures as like, oh, Rachel is a failure as a leader. X person is a failure as a leader. Like, we can just internalize all the failures, and maybe we're not failures. It's just that the conditions are really hard. And there's something about being in space together and being able to see each other, share our experiences where we're like, oh, it's not me, it's the conditions, and we need each other. Like, I see you as a human, you see me as a human, and we like need each other to get through this. Like, the community, the collectivity, that is like what keeps us going. And I think our movement in this like post-pandemic or pandemic, everything living on Zoom life, there's just no, like, organizing is about relationships, and like you can't remake that online, So that's really where I'm at. I'm like, how do we bring more of that back into our movements? Because that is what sustains us and keeps us together.
Yeah. I agree. I would say when I joined BYP 100, I think that was even still to this day, like, folks will name like our like merch, our design of the different, our all of the different merchandise that we have, along with like the songs that we've created, the videos that's been created that really showcase young Black radical folks taking on these like really creative types of direct action, like in Chicago and DC, and even in Durham. And we were already kind of on Zoom in different ways because it's a national organization, so we had to communicate in some kind of way. And a lot of a lot of that cultural work was instituted by some of the founding members that have just since just kind of moved on and just gotten into different things, are still in music or are still designing things, but are doing it in different ways. And it's been really difficult to like kind of rebuild that commitment, that willingness to just do it, also without getting paid is another thread. Around the nonprofit thing is like, folks don't even know how to be members because they think they should. They think that the things that they're doing is extraordinary, and that therefore they should be getting paid for their time, which is also neoliberalism. Anyway, I think the thing that I think the thing is obviously recognizing that what we're in is not new to us, and it's not unique to our organization. I think like being up to date and disciplined about, for me, I think knowing the history of different organizations that are similar to us, that took on the challenge of like revolutionary change in their lifetimes, and learning from the fact that they're on a journey. And then honestly, like, if nothing else, what keeps me in it is like the community of other like Black women, and Black people that have decided to be in these positions, and being able to just call on them or go on vacations together, or like just different ways that we like are able to not feel isolated, and remind ourselves that we're not alone in the struggles, but to also like really carve out time to just be the other parts of ourselves together as well. So like for me, having a really deep and long-lasting relationship with Rachel and JoJo and Naila, but also the folks in Minneapolis, there's Candace and Miski, and there's other folks having a relationship with Mercedes down in Texas, and like just different organizers that I really kind of grew up with, and always being available for them, and them being available for me to just talk through like what is happening and why is this happening, which has been really helpful for me and has helped me continue to feel really supported, because it just is an isolating position. The pandemic hasn't helped it. And then you have people that have been in the movement for 2 seconds and can tell you what everything that you're doing wrong, that you already know. It can drive you in a lot of different directions. But I think my biggest the biggest thing that's kept me in is the community of other directors, honestly, of organizations. Yeah, if I was truly by myself, I probably would have quit a very long time ago. Yeah.